Hi everyone, welcome to the OpenGov.watch office hours. This week we want to talk about the Web3 Foundation and their new voting policy, which has just been announced. We will look a bit at the previous referenda that the Web3 Foundation has just been voting on. And then in part 2 of our conversation today, we will look a bit at this forum debates, the censorship discussion and so on. And yeah, as always, I have Chipo with me. Hi Chipo.
Hello.
Hi, and I have a little bit of tea here, tea and honey. And yeah, so maybe you still hear it in my voice. It's still not perfect, but we're getting better. So yeah, Chipo, should we start into the story of the day?
Sure. Do we start with the new voting policy?
Yeah, let's start with the headline, and then we can dig a little bit into what was happening this week and what was going on here. Can I make this bigger for us? Okay, how do we get it works like this. Okay, look, we get hold of technology. All right, so our story for this week is the Web3 Foundation OpenGov voting proposal guidelines. So the backstory is that Web3 Foundation has announced that they are becoming an active voter, and there is a bigger change going on in Parity in the Web3 Foundation right now. So Parity has been restructuring towards the product development, and the Web3 Foundation has first of all restructured their grants policy, so how the Web3 Foundation itself will be giving out grants, and they have decided to become an active voter. And so as an active voter, they need their own policy on how they're voting, how they're making decisions. And they have said, like Gavin has said, that there is going to be, let's say, a change of how they will have their own policy and their own agenda and how they're voting. They want to keep an open debate with everyone, but they have their own policy. And so they brought up these guidelines. And I'm thinking we could really take a little bit of a deeper dive into it. And then when some of the sort of related topics come up, we can also look at the other referenda that are related to this new policy. Yeah. So yeah, they give the same context here. And then I will first give a brief overview over the document, and then we can see what we want to dig into. So what are we looking for? They give a few criteria here. Minimum standards for all proposals. And then how can you engage with the Web3 Foundation? That's it, right? So two bigger parts. Okay, and we're starting with what are we looking for? So they have 3 points here. They have cost effectiveness. They're looking for expertise, and they're looking for accountability. Okay, so cost effectiveness. I think that goes very much to the discussion, and maybe Chipa, you have some thoughts on that, but that goes very much into discussion of how much is being paid for certain things, and is it worth the money? I mean, it's a very typical discussion, but I think it's interesting that they mention it first. So I think they want to send a clear signal that things are only allowed to cost whatever you actually need for them, and this is the first thing that you will need to defend when you make a proposal.
Yeah, and they also added some specific things. For example, like they want itemized costs, so not like a general budget, but more like a very specific lines in the budget. This is my understanding. And vendor quotes. For example, if you are doing an event, you will have to get some quotes from multiple venues and then present them to the Web3 Foundation.
Yeah.
And also the next sentence says early engagement with our team. So they are expecting proposers to email the foundation before. I mean, they also say it's not like a strict necessity, but they're basically saying it will help the process for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there is sort of this maybe less hard criteria, but more soft criteria. But I think this sounds even like more intent, which is it demonstrates respect for community capital, and signals that proposals understand that this is not a casual expenditure, but a shared finite resource, right? So I think it's about showing respect and having a realistic perspective on what things really cost, and not seeing crypto as this thing that is venture funded and where people can just grab money.
Yeah, and I also like the finite, the concept of finite there, because like we have a lot of actors that say were claiming that the treasury was infinite. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Expertise. So you cannot come as a random person. Credibility matters, and you will need to have shown that you can actually have an understanding of what you're proposing. Right. So for technical work, it means being able to assess architecture and integration pathways. So not doing just whatever, startup an AI and tell it to build the thing, but actually understand the broader context of what you're building for. Yeah, and then it's also interesting for community initiatives, track or recording community engagement and event management. And for market development, is marketing, is it business development, market development, relevant market experience and market understanding. Yeah.
They're basically saying you should know what you're doing and should be able to show proof that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Good. And then third point here is accountability. So on-chain accountability, on-chain through a periodic review process of accepted proposals. So milestone-based, I think this is the important thing. We have seen this in the last day. So there was this one story that we could actually go into now, because I think it was all about this, which was the reactive dot story, right? So this is Tien, who has been building reactive dot for quite some time. What is reactive dot? If I understand it correctly, it's one of the software development kits. Yeah. So if you want to build against the blockchain, you need different components, but one of the components is that you want to build a front end. And so for the front end, it's a development kit that gives you basic exposure to the underlying technology, and it allows you to quickly, program build against the blockchain. And this has been fairly respected. So from everything that I heard, Tien is respected, and this is a popular SDK. So, but then this proposal came, and then it was voted. I think it was voted against from the Web3 Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, it was their only nay to date.
Yeah, and I think this was very irritating for a lot of people, because they had so much respect for Tien, and so they did not really understand what is going on and why is it voted against. Will this be now the general case? Is it something specific targeted? And then I think there was also some communication issues along the way.
I think we should consider like I don't think it was targeted specifically for Tien or like any person.
Yeah.
That they need to start at some point, like
Yeah.
they need to start at some point, and this was like unfortunately a little the initial post they voted nay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the follow-up proposal came. I'm not even sure if the price is the same, but what you see here is that it's now based on monthly milestone payouts.
Yeah, basically my understanding, I might be wrong, but my understanding is the previous proposal was an upfront payment, but now it's delivery based. Like this is coming in milestones. Yeah, basically this.
Yeah. Okay, so going back. Okay, so milestone-based payouts is a criterion now, and I think it will be in general for everyone that should be as small as possible milestones that can be paid and can be reviewed regularly.
I have one note on the milestone payment thing. We had a proposal last month on OpenGo about ensuring accountability. It was something about Web0's payment, like because they had some performance-based payment later on. But the proposal was saying a very important thing. It was saying like, in order to cancel this scheduled payment, which was based on like some progress, because like if the progress is not there, the payment should be canceled basically.
Yeah.
And that proposal was saying, in order to cancel this scheduled payment, you need 37 days.
Yeah, you need to go through the treasure track.
Yeah, and maybe not always, because some could be like small spender, etc. but you still need a couple days, like at least 30 days, 32 days to cancel a scheduled payment. So maybe people should consider this when they are scheduling their payments, just to put like maybe, I don't know, 40 days between them.
I think it's a possibility. I think it would actually be better if there would be a separate track for canceling milestones.
Like a faster one.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Like a referendum canceller or something, maybe.
Yeah, similar, but for pairs. I think
Yeah.
that would make sense, and it would be, I think for the developers, it would be fairly easy to implement.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, we should propose that. Good. Okay, so that's the 3 points. I mean, it's not really high magic. It's cost effectiveness. So don't be expensive. Like, provide proper value for money. Be competent in the area that you're proposing in, and let's make sure it's a proper process, right? So this by itself is not yet high magic, or I don't know how to say this in English. But that's I think it's very reasonable and it's very agreeable, I would say, right? Okay. We prioritize proposals with ecosystem level impact over those that primarily benefit a single team or narrow constituency. Yeah. So they're shooting for broad things.
Yeah, it's a weirdly worded sentence, actually.
I mean, it's so they are posting the inverse here too. We ask, would the ecosystem be substantially worse off if this work were not funded? So it's sort of, let's say, also a defensive way of saying we will continue to fund the things that are necessary. I mean, you could read it as we will continue to fund the things that are necessary, but if it's not necessary for the whole ecosystem, there's also a possibility it will not get funded in the future, even if it did get funded in the past.
Yeah,
I think that could be a way to read it. Yeah.
I'm like subconsciously thinking about hydration here, to be honest, because it's a little fitting in this.
The incentives, you mean?
Yeah. The DeFi incentives.
I mean, there is a bunch of projects, or not. I mean, a few. Also for me, like Coda comes to mind, which is sort of NFT based for the hub. I'm not sure what the perspective will be on the different wallets, on the different governance explorers. So everything where there's a plurality, I think it's a more complex discussion, because I mean, so far there was sort of a consensus. Okay, you should have like more than one wallet, right, and more than one governance explorer, but it's not like, this is not the only way to look at it, right? So I've been recently thinking how they look at those things. Okay, quality is expected, resources are respected, and coherence matters. Good. Okay, and then minimum standards for all proposals.
This is the spicy part.
Okay, so on-chain verified proposal, easy. Okay, this is good. Immutable scope and budget. Final scope and budget locked in via IPFS, Git tags, or on-chain hashes, with these hashes referenced in the referendum text.
This is a little weird because I remember some IPFS files disappearing. Do you
Yeah.
remember that, like last year?
IPFS does not give a guarantee that it's basically like BitTorrent a bit, in the sense that as long as there is nodes that keep the file alive, it will stay alive, and if nodes don't keep the file alive, it can disappear. Yeah. So BitTorrent or IPFS secures a file against being manipulated, but it does not secure a file against disappearing. So you actually, it's called pinning. You have to pay a file to stay pinned and not disappear. Yeah. But I think what we also saw in the past, and it's somewhat of a question during the proposal phase, sometimes the scope of a document changed, right? And then there was also always the worry. I'm not aware of an incident where it actually happened, but there was always the worry that documents could disappear, or the documents could be changed afterwards. No, sorry, documents could be changed afterwards, after the proposal is agreed. And I don't think that happened. I'm not aware of it, but files definitely did disappear.
Yeah, I remember disappearing files, but not sure about change. But I think some files has changed.
Yeah, and ironically, even you see that files on IPFS have disappeared, while Google Docs files from many years in the past are still up.
So maybe we just need a Google Drive that proposers cannot manipulate.
I think I know that like the core devs are not happy about this idea because its storage on chain is valuable, but maybe putting files on the chain would be a good thing in the state.
What is Git tags, Tommy?
Git tag. Use GitHub, and then you tag it. It's like putting up a version. You mark it as a version.
Yeah, then if you change it, GitHub shows that it's changed, right?
Yeah, I can show it if you want with the current Polkadot runtime. So you see different version tags. So you see Polkadot version 1.9.3, version 2, etc. So a tag is you tag a certain commit in Git as a version.
And can't you delete it like retroactively? Like, can you just delete
actually,
like 1.5?
Actually, you could delete a tag. Actually, it would be better to refer to a commit, because a commit, but not even a Git commit is immutable. I mean, it's typically not. So a Git commit is immutable, but it could still disappear. So it's the same issue, actually. I think the issue is more of things disappearing than being manipulated. Good. Okay, so immutable scope and budget. Concrete, measurable deliverables. Good. So, I mean, I think like it's very variable. There's always deliverables, but how concrete and how measurable? I think you need to be concrete and measurable in how you specify how you want to have concrete and measurable deliverables. Okay, but they sort of say onboard 50 new developers. Yeah, I think it's good and important. And so my worry here is we had this meta in the past where for some time there was proposals with onboard 274,000 new users.
Yeah.
And you were like, and then it was after some time it was getting really absurd because it was like 7 digits, and they had it to the digit precise how many users they're onboarding. And it was really absurd why someone would put it up like this. Yeah. So I'm a little bit worried that we get this meta again now where there's super specific ideas, but it's sort of just in a promise, and there is no real way how you want to follow through with this. So I get the intention, but it's more how do you connect the input with the output?
But I also think like having some like concrete deliverables help in terms of like being a place in a way like a placeholder, you know. For example, if I give example from my own work and yours, I think it will be similar. Like maybe half the time that I'm working, I'm actually doing something for our deliverables for the grant. But the other half, like I cannot put them in a concrete form because it's like it's networking, it's like discussions, etc. So I cannot write like I have networked with 10 people. So but still we have our deliverables, so they and we are working towards them, and at some point the two work become in sync. So I think it helps, you know, like just to become some placeholders there.
Yeah, okay. So I would say this has been expected so far too, but yeah, so they put it out as one of their criterions. So itemized benchmarked budget with every line item justified. So this is something we don't see all the time. Every line item justified. Benchmarked.
Yeah, the quotas and.
So it's benchmarked against what it costs, or benchmarked against what?
My understanding was like a comparison between different.
So they want each line item to have its cost associated with it.
This is
Yeah.
interesting. This is interesting for me because like when I was looking into bounties, I realized if the bounties have more detailed and more like line by line budgeting, they are more compliant with the accountability standards as well. And if they
Mm.
are more like this says lump sum,
Yeah.
then it gets blurry and you cannot see a lot of
Yeah.
accountability. So I
Yeah.
think it makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. Good. Milestone gated disbursement. So we again the milestones.
Mhm.
So one thing that I'm thinking is this is going to be interesting for bounties, or it's going to be interesting for everything that has to assume larger budgets, right? So everything that has sort of a continuous way of distribution. If you pay, let's say, a developer a salary, that works. But for example, if you want to do a big event, you cannot say you get a little bit of money every month because maybe there's a burst initially and then you don't need that much money for some months, and then in the end there is a burst again. Yeah. So I mean, in the end, there is people that are applying logic and thinking here, but I think this can in some circumstances this can create issues. But I think as a general principle, it absolutely makes sense. So this is lovely. This is lovely. Public discussion lead time, generally at least 14 days of community discussion before referendum submission.
We tried so hard to establish this for the past year. Do you remember, like, we were telling everyone to post a discussion thread,
Yeah.
but then the problem was like people started actually posting discussion thread, but no one was answering
Yeah.
until it gets to the open go and they just nay it.
Yeah.
So, but still, I like the idea.
Yeah, the follow through needs to come from voters actually engaging in the discussion phase. Because if you tell people to post the discussion and then nothing happens, and then they come to the vote and then the discussion begins. So this is actually sort of the voters' responsibility to then actually engage during the discussion phase. I also feel like this tradition was coming from the days of when there was still council governance, right? Because then the councillors might have had a chance to already engage in this. Okay, and then responsiveness to community feedback. So this goes hand in hand. If there is a public discussion lead time and then there's community feedback, you should be able to react to that. And look, significant scope or budget changes post-discussion must trigger rehashing and community re-engagement, right?
It all starts over.
So you start again. If you change a big thing, you start again, and you don't say, okay, I've changed it, we can continue. So I can already see the whining of saying, oh no, but there's only 40 days left until whatever happens. Okay.
We already paid for the cars. Anyway.
So additionally, we highly encourage proposals to adopt open source licenses. I'm a little bit sad that this is not 0.8 here. This is not an official point.
You want it to be like a minimum standard too?
No, because it has always been you should do open source. So I think it could actually be stricter because.
But maybe it also signifies a change in general strategy too.
What do you mean?
Maybe the network is not so open source public funding agency now and more businessy.
I mean, maybe it acknowledges that the treasury is paying for sort of like partially closed source projects too.
Maybe.
And is right now the network is dependent on at least one solution that is closed source.
Yeah.
Not dependent, but the users
Yeah,
are dependent. The users are dependent. So, but I think this should become a general rule because this exactly brought us in a situation where you have a vendor lock-in who then is the only vendor. Like we have Subscan as a block explorer, and I don't think that the continuous updates are open source too. So it's sort of there's this vendor lock-in, and I don't think that it's a bad situation.
The next line is also interesting. Independent security audits.
Yeah.
So basically, like, are they gonna tell like you are audited or your next scheduler is cancelled? Get audited.
You have to put it into the cost.
Well,
You
maybe.
put it into the costs and into your project plan.
Okay.
Yeah, and describe how your project will be sustained after treasury funding ends. I don't know. Most of the time, this is just pure hallucination of people. So again, I would say it's attacking the relevant issues, but I think this is an area where we need to evolve more, because you've always seen the great hallucinations about the exact number of people that will be onboarded, and then how this thing will become self-funding.
The thing about this self-finance thing, it's like, I think it's not for a strict requirement, because some things cannot be self-financed, like, basically.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a good mental practice, and for like people who are like looking into these, it would at least signal that like those people are planning for the future, at least in some way, even if it doesn't work,
Yeah, I think clear important to have the statement, because that already shows something. Okay, and then last part here is says we encourage proposals to contact gov@web3.foundation. So Web3 Foundation right now is in the decentralized voices situation times 10, where they just get bombarded with everyone who wants to make a proposal and now wants to get sort of early feedback or goodwill by engaging. Yeah. So I mean, they have Karam right now and they have Eric now, but I think Eric should be focused on Kusama.
Yeah, maybe we announced that too. I was actually thinking about it. So Eric just joined the Web3 Foundation governance team yesterday, I guess.
Yeah.
On the Kusama side, yes, but I'm pretty sure that he will be doing a lot of Polkadot work.
But what is an Eric? I hear you ask. Eric. New city, new beard, new job. New city. I wonder, is he in Zug now?
Yeah, he's in
Is
Zug.
he in Zug now? Okay. Oh man, I wanted to visit him in Hamburg. Okay, so Eric has been working with.
No, but he didn't move there.
Okay. So Eric has been working with Distractive, the marketing agency, and now he is working with the Web3 Foundation as a governance coordinator for Kusama, right?
Yes, and Karam is now governance lead. So Bill's old job, yeah.
Yeah. So we can expect to see more activity here on Kusama. And then, I mean, I wonder if Karam has to read all the proposals now. I guess they will need, or if they're moving people from the grants team over, or if they're just hiring new people.
I don't know, but they will definitely need a lot of like eyes on those.
Good. Okay, that's the proposal from the Web3 Foundation. Let's see here. How can this look like? We have one proposal here from TN, the one that we discussed earlier, and then suddenly there is, I don't know exactly how many votes they have, but it feels like it's 100 million.
Yeah, they are voting with about 100. Oh no, this one actually has even more.
This is 55. This is 90. Are all of these?
I don't know.
Foundation backs?
I don't know, but I mean,
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 55. We have 90. We have 130. I see 130 million tokens here. 130 million votes coming here.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
they also have like 100 million votes on the other proposers, like the marketing bounty, closer, region X. Yeah, basically.
So here we can see how they've been voting. They've been voting I so far.
I only.
And they've been voting already in the past, right?
Yeah, but very little.
So yeah, I would see one of those treasury, Guardian Angel accounts maybe. Preserve.treasury from Burn.
Mm-hmm.
Polkadot People Initiative, so the initiative from Gavin.
That's actually in confirmation, by the way.
Yeah, we can look at it in a second. Some technical proposals. Region X got funded.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, did they also have milestones? Okay, this is one payment. Retroactive.
Mm. But as far as I know, I might be wrong, but as far as I know, they did some work together with the foundation and changed the proposal a little. but
Mhm.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I might be wrong.
Good. So yeah, and the Gavin Wood's first proposal is in confirmation and needs one more day, and then it's confirmed. So yeah, lots of agreement here. Oh, look, there's icons now. And do we see nay votes? We actually see 22 million nay votes. Interesting. Interesting. PS.dog. Oh, Redao. Permanent Star voted against. Sachsenberg voted against. But Permanent Star voted with their own.
Yeah, because this is root track and DV votes are not there.
Mitrovic voted against. Interesting. Jimmy voted against. Good. Okay. Yeah, so actually a bit contentious.
I mean, not anymore, but
Yeah, but so Web3 Foundation voted with what looks like 130 million. So without Web3 Foundation, it was 30 million against 22 million.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was I think it was like 62% or something before.
Okay, so I would say this closes down our first topic for today, which is Web3 Foundation voting. So I guess we can move on to our second topic for today, which is the forum discussions.
Yes, the more spicier topic.
Awesome. So do you want to lead? Should I lead the topic?
You can, or I can too.
So, okay, so my read on the situation is there was a debate going on in the forum that, or let's say the debates last week were escalating. And it was mostly related to what's going on in OpenGraph, I think is fair to say. There was a few topics outside of that, but it mostly was going on what's going on in OpenGraph, and then looking at certain spans, and then criticizing certain people, and all the debates around that. Would that be fair to say?
Even more focused. I would even say it's specifically for marketing, not the bounty, but marketing vertical.
Okay. So, and then the situation actually ended with a few threads getting closed. Where's the closed symbol?
So the marketing bounty deep dive, my thread is closed.
So this one,
anti-scam bounty got closed. The legal bounty update got closed.
Yeah,
it was interesting. And the on-chain investigation, this one, the one on the up.
Yeah.
By Flaz, actually, that's also got closed.
Yeah.
And like, do you have anything, or should I just go ahead?
Let's just dig into it.
The thing is, like, the narrative for getting them closed, and I want to say censorship instead of getting them closed. The narrative for the censorship is like there is noise in those threads, which I disagree. Of course, there are some noise, because there are like many anonymous accounts. They're also fighting with each other, by the way. But there are like 75. For example, in my marketing bounty thread, there's 75 answers, replies, and maybe 2 of them are noise. Maybe I can accept that like 2 of them are inappropriate or disrespectful or whatever, but not the other 73 of them. And there are like a lot of people not with anonymous accounts. Like there are Sachsenberg there. I think you were in one of them too, asking some questions. And even the anonymous accounts questions are very legitimate. Like if anyone just goes through those threads and reads them, they will see that there's no noise, to be honest. Except a couple. Like I accept that there are a couple anonymous accounts there, and it's actually what they're aiming for. They are trying to mud the water, they are just trying to put more stress on, and they're just randomly criticizing Web3 Foundation parity, which the original posts are not doing actually. And they are packaging everything together. So they're creating enough noise to say that the whole thing is a mess. And it's a lie. I'm sorry to say that, but it's a lie. And I'm very, very, very sad that honest people are believing in this lie. But if they read I'm basically saying everyone just read the posts, I'm not saying like this is this is like, I'm not putting the posts here and like making some bullshit psychoanalytic comments on them. It's just read them and you will see what they're actually hiding.
Yeah. So how about we add a little bit more context and then we look into it. So we had a lot of forum debate last week, and then it sort of, let's say, ended, or there was this beat where Remy, one of the forum moderators, posted that seen many posts gaining traction with not aligned with the sense of community this forum is trying to foster. We'll be locking threads, removing posts. We do not have the bandwidth to verify veracity of posts.
This is an acceptable argument.
Yeah.
That they don't have the bandwidth. That, I mean, I also know like they're developers, right? They're not in like governance. Their roles are not for governance. Both Remy and Aaron are developers, as far as I know. Maybe I know it wrong, but
yeah.
And yeah, they shouldn't do this. Like I'm not saying they should do their job instead of like moderating governance criticism.
Okay, but then let's look a little bit into it. And there is different threads, right? So we would have to judge every thread individually, because I guess it would not be fair. But there has been like 5 threads locked, and maybe there's some connecting themes, but it's not like one theme for all the threads. It's sort of like there's different. So it's, I think, easier to bundle them together mentally, but that's actually not. It's not what we need here. So let's start with our thread, which was the marketing bounty deep dive.
Yeah.
And that was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I think it was almost 3 weeks ago. And what you did here, and we discussed it in the last call, is you were looking into like the major spending positions of the marketing bounty.
Yeah.
And so I think the phenomenon that we can observe is that the Web3 Foundation then 1 week later posted this proposal to close the marketing bounty. And so I think to a lot of people, this would signal, okay, so now it's possible to criticize spends. And so people that previously did not come out to discuss or criticize certain things were now coming out, right? Maybe they felt safe that it's possible to do now, or maybe they felt there is a good chance now that when you bring it to a conversation now, it's possible that this thing gets closed or whatever, that a certain action is being taken by the Web3 Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit, so you will not be able to read everything, but we have 74 posts here, 74 comments.
Yeah.
Total.
And there were more, by the way. There was like, I think at least 3-4 comments immediately deleted by moderation. So they're also moderating. It's not like, that's also another thing, like they're saying, oh, we cannot moderate this, but they are actually moderating it, because I know for a fact that some comments just got deleted like in seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what they're saying is we don't have the bandwidth to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But if there is something that clearly violates the rules, it's also fair to delete it, right?
Of course it is. Like, of course, like if someone is insulting someone else, like you just delete it. I don't want that there too,
Okay, so we see Model B, we see Juba making a statement, BLT, Flash coming in.
Very interesting questions. Like I've been speaking with people, and the main reaction I'm getting is like, I'm asking, like, okay, so what I'm doing is like, I'm asking, have you read the thread? That's a very simple question. And most of the people are saying that they just read the initial post. So my post specifically.
Yeah, typical.
And they're also saying, oh, it was a really good post, but from my understanding, it got out of hand. And I want to also say this in live. No, it didn't get out of hand. All the questions in the thread, as far as I can see, at least 90% of them are very legitimate questions, still open questions, and targeting specific venues, which is the reason that we are seeing this censorship.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so there is a lot of side discussions going on, or let's say that it's breaking out into some individual discussions from people. Okay, so it's Jay discussing with Les, then Salty Carbonara joins Megadot. So it's sort of 4 or 5 people discussing. I mean, it looks like a debate where people are throwing facts and maybe accusations and numbers around, but it's not really like it's out of hand. Does
No,
not
it's
look
not.
like that to
And
me.
for example, the one that I least like, to be honest, the one among the closed threads is the anti-scam bounty thread. It actually did like, I think the general language of the initial post was a little disrespectful, so I can agree with that. But then we see people from the anti-scam team in the same thread answering all the questions. So
Anti-scam. Wait, let me pull it up. So it's the thread about the anti-scam team.
yeah, I think it was in governance. No.
So anti-scam bounty needs a full review investigation.
Yeah, this one.
And then it's questioning the numbers and if it's worthwhile.
I can agree that the language here is a little bit broken, but still, you see, like for example, if you scroll down, I think it was
Yeah, it's written in an attacking manner, but it's nothing that you cannot counter.
and it is countered. If you scroll down, there is a bounty curator. Yeah, Frankie. He's very approachable, by the way. I also spoke with him a couple times before. Yeah, he's basically answering all the questions,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
people
I saw
can
this.
decide by themselves. Like, just
Yeah.
read it and decide by yourself. Like, why are you locking this? It's insane.
No, I think you need to have the place for the public debate because these are questions, and where should they be if not here?
Yeah.
Where would you have it? I
And
mean, sure, you can have different forums. Maybe the issue is that because does it mean now that the forum is not a place to discuss public spending from the treasury?
and it's also like they were not only locked before. Like initially, they were also hidden.
Yeah.
Why would you
Yeah,
hide something like that?
that was an overreach from the forum moderators, and I think they realized this and they took the step back, right? So
I think locking is also an overreach.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case, yes. I think in this, so they say we are not able to monitor it, but then I think that's an issue of the capacity of the forum moderators because these are legitimate discussions. They should not be locked.
No, I can get behind the capacity problem. I see it. I agree with it, and I know for a fact like Parity doesn't have governance people working, for example, so they shouldn't be handled like this. Shouldn't be a Parity problem in my.
Or you separate it out into the separate forum and you say there is one forum because like maybe their perspective is this should be for technical discussions. It's a possibility, yeah. But there is definitely a category for governance. So either it's a forum where governance can be discussed or not, yeah. And I mean, in a way, you could be happy on some places if people are actually debating those spends because there's so many governance communities where nothing is being debated and it's basically just 2-3 facilitators that like capture the intention and then just pass it through, right? So okay, so the anti-scam bounty does not really look like.
I mean, maybe there are some, like I said, maybe there are some problematic posts. It's okay to delete problematic posts, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
The other thing is, if people are disrespectful in the conversation, the way that I've been engaging this in the past when I was a forum moderator is like typically you have like a 3-step process. And the first step is you maybe make a public statement or you write a DM and say, hey, these and these statements, if they would be phrased in this and this way, it would be much more helpful. Yes, this takes time, but typically you have either someone who is intending to become a better community member or not. If they're not intending to become a better community member, they get a warning. And if they, like, again, make a violation, then you kick them, right? But people sometimes they need to be educated into hey, we're not accepting rude behavior. You can ask questions, you can be critical, but you have to do it in a respectful manner, right? And that takes time, yes, but it's also working, and you have a very, over time, you get the community that is educated in how they treat each other. Versus if you just block the thread, no one is learning from the experience, or there is not too much learning from the experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so anti-scam bounty locked. Okay, good. What else do we have? Okay, then, okay, now this is I think this is where it started to escalate, right?
Yeah.
Because when Flash was posting about Crane, the director of the marketing bounty, and posting some links to what's happening on chain with an account that is associated, and where there is a transfer of $45,000 to Crane's wallet, and it's not really clear on chain what is happening, and there is no publicly documented evidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, the interesting thing is, so Jay was is angry, which I don't know. You would need to point me to the thing here that is angry.
I was coming to that.
So okay, maybe you want to take over here.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people. I'm one of the angry ones. So
Yeah,
the thing is, like, one of the main arguments for the censorship is that these are anonymous accounts. But then you see people like Flez and people like me, and what I did was actually like just putting the numbers there. I haven't even wrote a number myself. I just copied and pasted.
and it's original research that we're paid for by the Web3 Foundation to produce.
And then I became angry because doing my job.
You became angry, or you became angry?
I am angry.
Yeah.
And then because I'm flagged as angry, and then Flez became angry because he posted on-chain proof for some unexplainable, still to date, unexplained. There are some explanations, but if you buy them, yeah, people are being flagged and publicly, I don't want to say ashamed because there's nothing to shame. I would say like targeted in state media that the treasury is paying for to get like information, but then we are seeing it's acting like a psychoanalyst who knows everything and even knows like how angry I am and why I am angry. Yeah, of course people are anonymous. I would open an anonymous account. I am suggested by a lot of people to open an anonymous account before because everyone knows these facts. Like, if, of course, like I can see that developers are not very updated on what's happening in the marketing front, but it's so normal to open an anonymous account. And like, if people are saying, oh, these are anonymous accounts, so we don't care about their questions, then I can say that, okay, I can own half of the questions there. Just assume they are my questions. What the fuck? I mean, if the questions are legitimate, then who cares who asked them? This is so weird.
It's an ad hominem attack.
Yeah. And yesterday he was also talking about ad hominem, like he knows it. Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like when Jay made this allegation that this is an angry post, I've been reading this post sentence by sentence. And this is a statement, this is statements of facts, and then drawing the conclusion, or basically throwing up the question of, I mean, it's not stating that, but the implied question is, was there a kickback involved? Yeah. Now, like, the response of many people were, you could have just asked, which, yeah, might be a fair situation in certain circumstances, but if you actually suspect that there is a kickback involved, it is not always the smartest move in every situation to ask the other party, because then if you honestly suspect them, they would be able to hide their traces, right? So in some situations, it might be actually the right move to put it into the public so that everyone can get active at the same time and look at the
I also see another pattern. People are just jumping away. like jumping over. So people are approaching this in terms of like, is there a kickback? But I think even if there's no, like, I assume there's no, like, because like guilty until proven, right? But then even without kickback, the transaction is problematic.
Yeah.
Because Marketing Bounty has rails to do this stuff, and we built those rails, and
Yeah.
we pushed a proposal. Like Web3 Foundation put a decision deposit for that proposal, and they gained a legal, like, they are the only bounty in the ecosystem that has legal representation,
Yeah.
that has legal vehicles, that they are able to do this, just to build, to do this stuff.
Yeah, and nowhere in the world can you manage a grant pot and then pay out a grant to someone and then get sent some of the money back to send it to someone else. So even if what Crane states here is true, you can do this nowhere in the world and expect to keep the job.
And the most weird thing for me is like, you have this on like public forums, the bounty is getting closed with like full conviction, and people are still not resigning. It's insane. Like, instead of these responsible people resigning, we are discussing whether this discussion should be on forums or on Twitter or on where. What the fuck? Like, the simple reaction should be everyone involved should be resigned that single day. Like, isn't, I mean, I see news in Europe, I don't know, in Finland or whatever, Sweden, they are resigning because they paid $5 with their, like, I don't know, state card in their coffee or whatever. And they got resigned for $5. And now we have like $500,000, and no one is taking responsibility.
I think what was interesting to see in this thread is that I mean, it's an allegation against Crane, and so Crane is making a statement about where this $54,000 are coming from, and it's basically like forwarding some of the costs. But there is, so in the end, like, there is a lot of discussion, and then at the end I asked Crane, hey, is there any proof for the statement? Because some people said, okay, Crane made a statement and so the story is over, but there is no proof. And there is no statements that I've seen from any other of the other bounty curators saying, yes, what Crane is saying is true. I have not seen a statement from Nova Sama stating that, yes, what Crane is stating is true. And there has been no screenshots as proof. There has been no documents. There hasn't been, no proof has been provided.
And I think,
and the link here that Crane is providing, where I ask, hey, is there any proof, is very obscure. It does not really make sense to me, because this is a transaction, this is a pass-through transaction coming from Kraken or something and going to Kraken. So yeah, it comes from Kraken, goes into this wallet, and then I think it goes into Kraken again. So sorry, but it does not, I don't know, it does not relate to the bigger story in any way. So what is really interesting is that Crane did not put in the effort to provide any proof, and no one else confirmed the statements.
People are asking receipts, people are asking invoices, they are asking reports, and none of them are being delivered. Instead, there are some, like, people are saying things like, oh, I did this and that, without receipts, without any proof.
Yeah.
And I think, like, this is a very fundamental difference between trust and truth, you know. And what are we, why are we building this system if we are gonna believe someone's statement instead of demanding to see invoices and receipts? Even Giotto's bounty was transparent in terms of invoices. Like, this is a little unbelievable for me, because like, this one should be more accountable, and like, we have good Excel sheets, etc., but we still don't have any of the receipts. No.
Yeah. Good. So this thread also got locked. For this thread, I mean, like Crane got a chance to make a statement to the contrary. He made his statement. He was asked to provide proof. He did not provide any proof. At this point, you can lock the conversation, right? And it's sort of okay at this point in time to immortalize this. Okay. I think at this point in the week, then I think it was escalating. So Joseph tried to open this thread and sort of tried to introduce a meta discussion about everything, and said when do we have the right to debate versus when not.
If you go to the original, like the initial post, the anonymity versus accountability, there are 3 bullet points. I agree with all of them. And I see like which anonymous accounts are attacking him too, and they like Mark 65, like that account has like really problematic. I agree with him in that point. I don't believe they are the same people, because from my perspective they are asking very different questions. And yeah, anonymity is a problem. Yeah, okay, I can live with that. And the person who might solve it might not, because you can just pay $5 to someone in Nigeria and they can get a personhood for you. But still, it's not like you need to qualitatively assess these things. You cannot just put them all in a bucket and say, oh, they're anonymous, and just ban them.
Okay.
I also want to add one more thing, Tommy, because we are closing it.
Yeah.
I want to not answer, but like make a statement maybe, because I also see this argument of like, oh, this is personal, like this is like people are chasing personal vendettas, etc. Personal. Yes, it is personal. For me, it's personal. I lived in an authoritarian regime for 22 years, all my life. Like after I was 10, I just saw one government my entire life. I lived in constant censorship. Like every day there was news that are getting censored. It is personal for me to get into Web3. I got into Web3 because of this. Of course it's personal. How can I not react to censorship in my work environment when the reason that I'm here is already personal? This was what I wanted to say.
Awesome. Thank you. Good. I think we said everything that has to be said about the topic. Let's see how it develops. And I think this is a good point to close down the conversation for today.
Before I get even more angry.
I mean, you can keep going. I just think we covered this ground very good. Yeah, I'm sad to see that sort of a lot of this conversation was sidetracked into you can just ask questions, and these actually if you look at the conversations that were going on, which were like very much on topic, the only thing you might need to correct occasionally is tell people to be more respectful with each other. So this is really sad that they get closed down. And yeah, I think we need forums where those things can be discussed. And then if someone wants to close their eyes and not see it, they can do that. And some people are actually like gleeing and hoping that like with proof of personhood, you can just lock out those people. But this is not how this works. When you have a individuality-based system, you can create your own echo chambers, but you will not lock people out. It will just everyone can pick which echo chambers they have, right? And I actually think it will set information much more free, and it will create much more open debate. Yeah, what you not will be able to do is have sock puppets, but it will not end those debates. I think it will rather be a freeing element that frees those debates, because if you want to have censorship, it's applied on a visibility layer and not on the layer where the actual information is being presented. So yeah, looking forward to have a system that cannot be censored and where people can freely share information without getting locked out. Should we close it
Beautiful.
here?
Beautiful words, Tommy. I was trying to unmute myself. Beautiful words, Tommy. I was trying to unmute myself. Yeah, I think we are at the hour anyway. So
yeah. All right.